Hello and welcome back to another episode of Inside the Asperger Studios. Today I'm going to be talking with Clay Beige and Hannah, the president and the member of the Lower Shore Autism Community out there in Maryland. This is part of the podcast-a-thon where thousands of hosts are going to talk to charities that are close to their heart. So sit back, relax, and grab your favorite beverage, and let's learn more about them. And I'll see you there.
I wanna believe in the truth, but only see what I'm shown. Got the freedom to choose, but can't decide on my own. Follow what the group is thinking, bottle up my intuition till it's popping out.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Inside the Asperger Studios. Today on this very special episode, I'm part of Podcast-a-thon, where thousands of you podcasters all around talk to a charity that's near and dear to their hearts. Today I'm talking with Clay and Hannah from the, what is your organization again, Clay?
The Lower Shore Autism Community.
All right, so Clay, let's start off with you. Tell me why you started the Lower Shore Autism Community.
Well, the organization was started really by our founder, Barry Johansen. We were just coming out of COVID in, say, late 2020, and Barry was a friend of mine and knew that I had 2 adult children on the spectrum and asked me to attend a meeting. And there have been 6, 7, 8 of us at that time. I really can't remember. It was a very small group, and we just sat around discussing our issues. And now, 4 or so years later, we are a nonprofit. We do as much as we can for our local community, and we just hope to continue to grow and serve as many people as possible.
Hannah, what is it like being part of the community?
What?
What is it like being part of the Lower Autism Community, the Lower Shore Autism Community?
It's a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. And I grew up, being on the spectrum, so it was nice to have to meet some kids and other, young adults that have the same, struggles as you do. And we have a social group for, teens and young adults, and that's a lot of fun.
Now, Clay, you said you have 2 children on the spectrum. What is it like raising?
Right.
What is it like raising 2 kids on the spectrum for you?
Well, it was a bit of a challenge because, sometimes there were a lot of delays that we weren't sure why those were happening. And at different stages of their lives. And one is 30 and the other is 31. And, you just run into things that you didn't specifically think you'd ever run into. A lot of course, social issues at school and in the neighborhood and things like that.
Now, have they found their special interest yet?
Well, they certainly have. Our son is, autistic folks don't necessarily like a lot of noise and distraction and bright lights, but for some reason our son is an expert in death metal music. And we've been to countless concerts, all up and down the East Coast. He just loves it. He knows all the bands, and he knows all the albums and where we've seen so-and-so and what year and that sort of thing. And my daughter has her own musical interests as well. So yeah, they find their niche, just like most of the kids in our organization. We have a 4-year-old who can tell you anything you want to know about Roomba vacuum cleaners, the little round vacuum cleaners that run around your house. He can program them. He can repair them. He's advise
also
you
really
on what to buy.
into astrophysics.
Yeah, he wants to be an astrophysicist when he grows up. No. Not too many 4-year-olds want to do that. We also have a 15-year-old who I think he knows at least a dozen languages now, and he's working on more. So.
Oh,
Now, Hannah, what is your special interest?
um, my special interest, I am like a very huge reader. I love to read books. In the past probably 2 years, I've gotten really into cooking. And I really like to do that. And I do a little bit of baking. I work out a lot. I had a daughter last year, and I started working out and stuff after that. So I've really been enjoying doing that.
And you're a Swiftie, aren't you?
Oh yeah, huge Swiftie.
Now, Clay, when was the Lower Shore Autism Community formed? And since you've taken it over, what has it meant to you?
Well, it's just a great way to connect with other families who have, I'll say, children on the spectrum, but we go from anywhere from 3-year-olds, and we have a mother who has a 52-year-old daughter on the spectrum. But it's just great to connect with those families. We live in a very out of the way place on the eastern shore of Maryland, kind of a rural area. And we really help one another when it comes to services. Where we are now, the best place to get diagnosed with autism is at the Kennedy Krieger Institute in Baltimore. And for many of our families, that can be a 3 or 4 hour drive one way. So we do a lot of advocating for our families. We've spent some time with our state politicians and legislatures, just doing whatever we can to build a community, as, as our as our vision says, building a community of mutual respect.
Now, what kind of recognition has the Lower Shore Autism Community gotten since you've taken over?
Well, I don't know if it's since I've taken over, but over the years, the some of the local political authorities have recognized us. Another neat thing that you and probably many of your listeners know is Dr. Carrie Magro, who is a very well-known author and speaker. We were fortunate to have him speak to us just about a week or so ago. We held a luncheon at a local university. Dr. Magro came and spoke. It was a bit of a fundraiser for us. And of course, he was able to sign and sell books at the same time. So, again, just doing what we can to get the word out to our community.
Now, Clay, I bet that you've gotten so much, you've learned so much from, I mean, as you and I both know, everybody who's autistic, including you, Hannah, has a special interest. I bet you they've come to you with their special interest and they want to get you involved in their special interest. I bet you that just makes your horizon just grow, learning so much from all these kids.
Yeah. And the thing about that is, a lot of people don't realize that just because we're autistic doesn't mean we can't, do things that normal people can do. And we can have the same interests as everybody else. Like with some of these kids that I've met, they have a lot of the same interests as I do, and even my husband, who's on the spectrum as well. And so yeah, and I'm like my brother. He's not the most, talkative person in the world, but if you talk to him about something that he likes, he'll sit and talk to you for an hour or more and about something he's into. And some of these other kids that I've met are like that, and it's really cool.
Like, what is it like learning so much from all these different kids with all their different interests?
Um It's really cool. I've actually learned a lot of stuff about myself as well. I also just recently started watching Love on the Spectrum, and I'm one of those kids that or people that don't necessarily like change. And I realize at 30 years old that the reason I don't like change is because of my autism. But I've learned a lot from these kids, and even they're teaching me things that I don't necessarily have an interest in, but I learn a lot from them, and it's really fun.
Hannah, let me ask you a question. Would you rather, I've asked this question once before, being someone who's autistic, would you rather stand out in the crowd or would you rather blend into a crowd?
I like standing out in the crowd. I like to be different. When I was growing up in elementary school, I always knew that I was different, but I didn't know why. I was about maybe 12 or 14 when I was officially diagnosed with autism. So I always knew there was something different about me, and I like different.
Now, Hannah, when did you find out about the Lower Shore Autism Community?
Well, my parents told me about it when they had joined it, and so I was kind of new to it when they were, and I started helping them with things, and I really liked it, and I've kind of turned into a self-advocate for autism. That's nice.
Now, Clay, what are some of the events that you've done with the Lower Shore Autism Community?
Well, every month we have both what we call a family support group meeting, and in an adjacent room at the same time, we have the social group for our teens and young adults. At the family support group meeting, we typically have a speaker who will present on different topics related to the autism spectrum. And we always have time for socializing with fellow parents and caregivers. And the social group typically will have a very small social skills sort of lesson to kick off the evening. We have at least 2 certified teachers in the room with them. But other than that, it's a short lesson, and other than that, it just becomes fun. They'll play games, they'll make puzzles. There was a bit of a survey among the young people late last year, and about things that they wanted to do with the social group. And a lot of the kids said, New Year's is coming up. And a lot of us have never been to a New Year's Eve party of any sorts. So we, at one of our meetings, we threw a New Year's party with all the trimmings and
it was
decorations.
A lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It was actually, so the most group of kids that we've had was maybe 5 or 6 of us. And this last one, it was about 10 of us. So, and that was the most we ever had, and it was the most fun that we had. And I think at next week's meeting, there's supposed to be 15 of us
so far,
which is really great. We're going to be having sort of a Valentine's Day type party, so that'll be fun.
In addition to the monthly meetings, we have special events throughout the year. In April, for Autism Awareness Month, we have what we call a family fun day at a local park. And we have food and games and, of course, obligatory bouncy house. And all these events are free for our families. We have a First Responders Day. We have a Halloween event where a local market shuts down just for us, and we're able to avail the kids of all the activities that the farmers market has, the corn maze and things like that. And every year we have a holiday luncheon in December to celebrate the holidays, and that's always fun.
Now, Clay, what have you learned from all this?
Well, I've learned a great deal. My background, I was a high school teacher. I was also a high school principal and then later a social worker. I'm now retired. Um, so I've had a lot of experience with sitting in on IEP meetings as,
Mhm.
say, a principal of a high school. But at the same time, I was sitting in on IEP meetings with the parent, for the parent, as a parent of two young children. So I was able to get that um, duality, you might say, of both sides of the equation. Um, Learning what I'm learning now is that parents really are looking for answers when it comes to things like school and IEPs and everything else. And I've always been one to say I'm probably not an expert on each side of those coins, but I do my best to help. And it's been a rewarding experience for sure.
Mhm.
I mean, I understand when you talk about IEPs. I've had many guests come on who are like experts with that and help the parents, and parents don't realize that when you realize your child has a disability, you need to get that IEP done immediately so your child is set the minute he steps foot into that school.
Yeah, you've got to do that because if not, um, a period of time will go by, whether it's several months or even a couple of years, and by that time you've lost a lot of development. Even as working in a high school during my career, we've had parents come in, 15-year-olds who, and they'll say, "Gee, I think my 15-year-old has a learning disability, whether it's autism or not," and that makes it kind of tough for sure.
Now, Clay, what advice would you give to somebody who comes to you and says, "My child has autism. What do I do? Where can I find advice? How can you help me?"
We do, well, first of all, we find out exactly what they're looking for. Are they looking for a diagnosis? Are they looking for, as we just talked about, help with an IEP and with their school? Um, we have a few resources in our local area. We have some therapists who have received government grants to be able to work with autistic children, but we just do our best to connect them with resources, whether they're here in our general area or what we say across the bridge in Baltimore, Washington area.
Now, Hannah, what advice would you give to someone that came to you and said, "Hey, listen, I just found out I was just diagnosed with autism. What do I do?"
Um, just to be yourself and well, Dr. Kerry Magro says it best. He said that autism doesn't define you, you define autism.
Hmm.
And that really hit close to me because just I would tell somebody just because you're autistic, that doesn't change who you are. Um, some people may not like you, and that's okay. And it might be because they don't understand you. Not everybody will understand somebody with autism, and that's okay.
And Carrie, just to add on to that, Carrie Magro also talks about instead of trying so hard to have autistic people fit in, let's educate people on how to understand
Yeah.
autistic people.
So true. Now, Clay, how do people get involved with the Lower Shore Autism community if they want to help you guys out?
Well, we have the website and all the socials and that kind of a thing. Our web is lowerautism.org. We have a Facebook page. We have a YouTube channel. All the socials that I don't even understand, probably. And I don't know if you can put my email up I don't know if this is going video or not, but I can certainly share my email.
And Hannah, if you want people to reach out to you, how would they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on every social media, but I also have an email if anybody wants to email me.
All right, and that's it. And that was part of the podcast Defined. I'm Reed Miles. That was Clay Beige and Hannah, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.